I will be going over variables, also mathematical notation in Python, also strings, as well as printing to the screen. So first, I'd like to show you how to open up your Python IDE. You can open up your files, C drive, Python 27, which will be what we're using here, Python 2.7, library, then IDLE library, and then to continue a previous project, you can left click and click edit with IDLE, or to start a new one, you can search up IDLE or just find it, and then left click on IDLE.py and click edit with IDLE. Make sure you left click on IDLE.py and not PYW or p.idle.ico. But I already have the file that we're going to be using open. So first, I'd like to show you variables. Variables in Python store bits of information. They can store anything in Python, and then after being named, they represent whatever they're equal to. A lot like regular algebra. In Python, variables can have lowercase letters, underscores, uppercase letters, and numbers. So here we'll name varg2 6. The next thing that I'd like to show you is mathematical notation in Python. So we'll call this addition, and it can be equal to 6 plus 2. Simple. Then we also have subtraction, which can be equal to 4 minus 2. Multiplication, 4 times 2, as well as division, divided by 2. That should all look quite familiar. And then next we have exponents, and that can be equal to 4, 2 multiplication symbols, and then whatever you want to raise that number to the power of, we'll just use 2. Of course, it'd be any number. And then lastly, we've got something called modulus. And modulus gives the remainder of a division. So we can call this 5 modulus 2. And that would be equal to 1, because 2 goes into 5 2 times with 1 left over. The next thing that I'd like to show you is strings. Strings go inside single or double quotes. I usually use single quotes, and usually they're used for words, my bad. Usually they're used for words, because if you were to put, say, 6 times 2, that would not be equal to 12, because, for example, if you were to print that to the screen, and I'll get to that in a second, you would get 6 times 2. You would not get 12 as you would if you were to just use, without putting it in quotes. So usually it's used for something like hello world from Python. Although, if you get a little bit more advanced and stuff, sometimes strings can be used for other things, but mostly it's just used for words. We also have string 2. We also have multi-line strings. So if you were to, say, type a paragraph, and you wanted to print that to the screen, or if you didn't want to just go on in a line when you use the shell, you could, triple single quotes, and then hello world from Python. Python is better than Java. And then end it with triple quotes. And make sure you don't line this up with the H, because it will look off-center. By having it all the way to the far left, it will be centered. It'll be directly underneath hello world from Python. Okay, so the next thing I would like to show you is printing to the screen. So to print these to the screen, because right now if we were to run this program, it would just do a carriage return and nothing would occur. The program would be empty. So if you go print, and then you can print a variable, for example, string 2, and we can also print mult, and just to show you, modulus. And you don't have to use variables in order to print. You can't. It's not like you're restricted to only printing things that you stored in variables. You can also simply print "You will be a Python master," and without storing it in a variable. But variables will be very useful, as you will see in the near future, and it's always good to use them as much as you can. So we'll run this to see what we come out with. Hello world from Python. Python is better than Java, which it is. And then we have 8.1, and you'll be a Python master. So the last thing that I would like to show you is comments. Comments in Python are lines of code that are not read by the computer. It's only for human eyes. Only somebody reading the literal code would see a comment. So essentially what I use it for is for sectioning out parts of my code. So say I could name this print, and then I could use another string, and math. Of course, this isn't really useful with such short code as this is, but once you get to much longer and much more lines of code, it's really useful to be able to easily find everything within your program without searching constantly. Also, if you're on a team, or for any reason anybody else besides you would be reading the code, it's really useful to explain it in your comments. You don't have to have these the pound symbols after the comment, but you do. I simply use the pound symbols after because it's easier to notice if you're reading through many lines of code, and it's simply a force of habit. So if we were to run this, there would be no difference in what occurs. Exact same program was entered. And so with that, I will leave you. Thanks for watching.